Okay, students, so we're here with radical expressions. Let's get radical. Your ability to make math puns is radical. And look at this guy right here. He's a pretty cool looking guy. Let's give him fire eyes and a good mustache. But nonetheless, all right, so this unit is unit 7. It's right triangle. So we're going to talk about Pythagorean theorem and trigonometry. And in all seriousness, this unit, out of all the units, is probably the most important unit. Why do I say that? Right triangles just really impact life as we know it. Right triangles are used everywhere, all right? From measurements to making roofs, inclines, ramps, slopes, all that kind of stuff. It's right triangles, all right? And we've been talking about Pythagorean theorem / distance formula here and there. We're going to expand and talk about some other really cool stuff. But if you're going to use math in your everyday life, it very well may likely come from the stuff we're learning here in Unit 7. And this first stuff we're doing is just kind of like the warm-up. We're kind of setting a good foundation with some number sense for the whole unit. This right here, 1 squared. So this table here is to help us memorize. Oops, that should have a square there. Perfect square, so 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, so on and so forth. It's really like this bottom row: 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, 225. This is the stuff we got to know. So it's like the square, and on top is almost like the square roots. All right. So this table is throughout the notes. You really got to memorize it. You really just got to know it, because it's really going to drive and help us do stuff moving along in this unit. However, so what is a square root? Well, we got some part the index. So technically it always had a 2 there, but it's kind of redundant. We really don't write this 2. We just say, well, it's there. All right, but when it's like a cubed root or a 4th root, whatever, we do write it. We have the radical sign, we have the radicand in 16, and then the square root is 4. All right, so radical sign indicates the root. Radicand is the number under the radical sign. Index displays the root of the expression, and the square root of a number is a number when multiplied by itself equals the radicand. All right, so what's really nice about this unit is it's going to build our number sense, help us realize how numbers are constructed, which is just a great life or math skill to have in general life skill, knowing how numbers work and relate. So we can use this orange table up top just about anywhere, or we can quickly rattle these off. What I recommend is you pausing the video and trying to solve these on your own. But like the square root of 4 is 2, square root of 64 is 8. So pause it, try it, then check your work. All right, and then something I want to mention is these are perfect squares. Why are these perfect squares? They're square roots that equal whole numbers. All right, there. Square roots that equal whole numbers. All right, and there's an infinite amount, but we really just focus on 15. Sometimes we go a little higher than that, but rarely. All right, so simplifying radicals. This is stuff you have experience with, and we're just going to practice again. We're going to use a factor tree to find the perfect square. All right, so step 1 is I highly recommend using these steps. Is find largest square factor. All right, now why do I say find the largest square factor? Well, let's just work through this and talk about why. So in this case, like right here, the factors of 32 are 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. All right, these are all factors of 32. All right, now what's the largest square factor? It's very important that we find the largest square factor. 16. 4 is a square factor. All these numbers are factors. But if we find 16, look how easy of a problem this comes, all right? Actually, so let's write out step 2. Step 2 is write under radical we're going to do largest square factor times the other. Okay, so if we do it like this for 32, well, the square root of 32, that's going to equal, the largest square factor is 16, so 16, and then the other factor is 2. That's it. That's what I mean by right under the radicals, the largest square factor times the other factor. And then 3 is simplify. Well, we just practiced this. What's the square root of 16? 4. What's the square root of radical 2? Cannot be simplified. All right? And this is an exact answer. So we're simplifying exactly. So going back up here, we have the square root of 32. It equals 4 radical 2 exactly. That's a number, that's the most exact number we can have. Or if I plug this into a calculator, well, it's always an estimate. Not, well, most, in this particular case, it's 5.656854249. And in fact, the decimal goes on forever, but my calculator ran out of the screen. There was no more numbers it could fit on, all right? This is a rounded, all right? Notice that radical 32 does not equal 5.656854249. It's a number very close to that. It's an estimate, all right? So this is just in case where we want exact answers. Why exact answers are important? Well, if there's multiple calculations, we're eliminating rounding errors. If you're building some complicated things such as a school, skyscraper, airplane, spacecraft, car, you want to use exact answers. All right. So with square root of 80, first we need to find the largest square factor. And again, some people might be able to say really quickly what it is. Some people might need to think about it and practice it. Again, we're just building skills. So I don't really like the equal sign there. I'm just going to list some factors. We have 1, 2, 4, let me think, 5, 8, 10, I don't think 12 is. Let me double check. And again, you can always use a calculator. This is a great resource. 5, 10, 16, what else? 20, 40, and 80. All right, so do we have to list the factors every single time? No, absolutely not. But I'm just listing them off just to kind of see where, to translate what I'm thinking. We have all these factors. Well, what's the largest perfect square? It's 16. And again, we have these tables. I included these tables here. Boom, 16. We're looking in this row right here. 16 was the largest one. All right, so I found the largest square factor. Now under the radical, so now I'm going to write this. I'm going to write under the radical, radical 16. And what's the other factor? 16 and 5, all right, because 5 times 16 equals 80. So radical 5, all right. So I found the largest square factor. I wrote them under the radicals. Now simplify. What's the square root of 16? 4. What's the square root of 5? Cannot be simplified, all right. And this is an exact answer. Rounded, again, I'm going to emphasize what it means to be rounded. 8.9 is the rounded answer. All right, cool beans. All right, so listing off all the factors is a way to do it. Or what we can do is what I like to call brute force, is just kind of figure it out by looking at it or checking your work, all right? So what I can do is, like, I have my calculator to my right-hand side. Again, we just need to have these numbers memorized. I'm just gonna take all these numbers and start dividing them, or taking 243 and dividing them by these numbers. I'm not going to write them all out because that would take too long. But like if I do 243 divided by 1, well, of course 1's going to work every single time, so that doesn't even help. 243 divided by 4, I get 60.75, so decimals are no good. Well, let me see, 243 divided by 9. I got 27, so 9 is a factor. So I'm going to kind of, is 9 the biggest one? Well, doubtful. Well, I'm not going to try any even numbers. Those are just going to give me decimals. Let's do by 25. No, doesn't work. Maybe it is 9. Well, because I tried 49. I got 4.9. So 4.9 and 49, not good. Well, what about 243 and 81? Oh my gosh. In fact, it's not 9. It was 81 all along. All right. So again, you're just going to have to kind of figure it out, check your work, so on and so forth. So this is going to break up into the square root of 81 and the square root of 3. Now, what's the square root of 81? 9. What's the square root of 3? 3. And again, that's it. All right. So this might be really hard at first. It might take a lot of practice at first, but math is like a sport. You must practice it to get good at it. All right. Some will get there quicker than others, but we can all grow and fine-tune our skills. And then this last one right here, what's the largest square factor? Again, we can use brute force. Eventually, we'd figure out 64. Square root of 64, and the square root of 5 breaks up into 8, radical 5. All right, so that's how you simplify radicals. And the next one, we're going to talk about multiplying